It's the Memphis Sports Network, WMC Memphis, WMFS HD2 Bartlett Memphis, WMFS FM and HD1 Bartlett, WMFS Memphis, ESPN 790 AM and 92.9 FM ESPN.
The views and opinions of the hosts or guests of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of the management or staff of Intercom Memphis.
Watch the sunrise, new day's dawning, and it's calling you and me. Where the mighty Mississippi flows by Memphis, Tennessee. We've got woodlands, fields, and water. Hey, there is no better way. You can find Larry Ray. Make some time, take the family, ask a friend, but don't delay. Listen up and learn about it all. Outdoors with Larry Ray. Listen up and learn about it all. Outdoors with Larry.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services. Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 as we talk outdoors for the next 90 minutes on this August the 19th, one weekend after the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing Extravaganza, which Mr. Frank Barton and myself survived another year. We got to hang out with Frank a little bit last weekend, and glad to have him in on the third Saturday of the month to
kind of like having a celebrity in my booth.
Yeah. Oh, no, you?
Well, you had people come by to see you, and I got to meet them because of that.
No, that's true.
That's what a celebrity does.
Oh, that's what he does? No, those are the people who want in free. You know, I was letting them in the door.
Good morning, everybody.
There he goes. There's a radio voice man right there, and my voice is made a mistake. You folks know I was a little ill last week, and I made a mistake of trying to play golf earlier in the week at Miramichi, and the forecast from the night before did not look as bad as it forecast looked like once we got out there. You know, how can they do a 10-day forecast? You know, give me what's going to happen 3 days, maybe, you know, but 10 days. It got a little wet, but we're going to do that. And Frank, you know, we just talked about, and Ron Wong's going to pop in here after a while because we're going to talk to the champion. As far as I know, we're trying to hook up with Justin Atkins, a rookie who won the Forest Wood Cup, a rookie. And he's got a pretty neat story about what he's done in his first year. He just won $300,000, too. That really and beat 52 other anglers. We'll talk about that later, but it's what I call around the horn right now with me and Frank. And we have a regular guest in the studio. He's got his own chair. You know, now will have his own plaque on the wall.
Upgraded to regular guest.
Wow.
Yeah, regular guest is Johnny McFarland, and he is part of the Mid-South chapter of Quail Forever. And I told Johnny I've had a real problem this week. It kept coming out Forever Quail, but he said he doesn't matter as long as the word quail is
As long as you
mentioned.
say quail, Larry.
Yeah, and they've got a big event coming up here next Saturday. But so Johnny's sitting in with us for a while here. We're going to really get into with Johnny of talking about the event. But let's pitch it around the horn right now. And Frank hit me right as I came in here about the duck numbers are out. And of course, I left them at home, but now there's abilities through the magic of social media and internet and everything. I looked at them, Frank, and kind of scanned them a little bit. Of course, we know all of our dates, so we've got those down. We know what liberal is, and, well, not politics, but duck numbers and things. So what's it say over? Ducks Unlimited came out with everybody kind of waits for, and I sent it on to Frank and just to make sure he had it. I knew he had it, but what do you see out of those numbers posted by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife?
Well, they say
Yes.
47.3 million breeding ducks. Right in the middle of that, somebody needed to call me. 47.3.
That was my heart.
Yeah, 47.3 breeding ducks, which is considerably above the historical average since
47.
U.S. Fish and Wildlife has been doing that back in the 1950s.
That's right. Yeah.
55.
Yeah. 47
And
million.
it's down
On
a
certain-
little bit from last year. Last year they were estimating 48.4 million, so about a million less. But it's still
enough to make you get ready.
way above the long-term average. So that means for those us duck hunters, while they haven't come out and said it yet, I'm pretty certain we're going to have liberal
Yes.
liberal limits, which would be for the folks around here would be a 6 duck limit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably going to be this
About the
identical to
same.
last year would be my guess for all the states that are doing that. Specific, one thing that's a little bit of a concern
What?
would be the mallard.
Yeah.
The mallard population, it's down. The estimates are it's down about 11% from last year.
That, to me, anything in the double digits gets a little bit concerned.
Right,
Yeah.
11. It was almost 11.8 million last year, and
Yeah.
it's 10.4 million this year.
Oh, give or take a bird or two.
Yeah,
You know,
give or take a
and
bird or
and
two.
you mentioned the word estimate 3 times, so I know that there's no scientific. Yeah, there's scientific ways, but there's no real way to fly around and count birds. So they have this formula. I always wanted to ride with them in the plane, just to see how it works.
Right. After a while, they've since they've been doing it since 1955. I figured they've got pretty
Good handle on it.
good way of estimating numbers, and
Yeah.
they know where they are up and down. Pintails, which is another, it's a very popular duck around here because
Yes,
of
it is.
It's pretty. They're hard to hunt.
Yeah, they're fast. They're fast.
It's up. They're estimating it to be up about 11% from last year. Historically, it's still well below
what it used to
that long-term average going back to 1955. But blue-winged teal, which
Yeah.
we will not be very far away from hunting,
be. We sure won't.
are up. It's up almost 18% from last year.
There you go. Yeah.
And
That kinda gets-
last I looked at one of my places.
Yeah.
I'll be teal hunting this year.
Oh, yeah.
I don't seem like I don't get to teal hunt that often, but it looks like I'll have water to teal hunt this year.
And we have, there you go, the key word is water. And, of course, time things get here, and I've never met an unoptimistic duck hunter, because
There's nobody more optimistic
that's
than
right.
a duck hunter.
There is no.
I haven't
agree.
found anybody that
No.
is more optimistic than a duck hunter.
No. I mean, I know that there's a lot of deer out there. Okay, and I know the deer are going to be there, but at the same time, the duck hunters spend so much effort. I mean, I don't know. This is get ready time now. It's probably well into get ready time for duck hunters, because not only the new equipment have come out, which is amazing. Some of the new, I've got some new waders that I got last year from Avery that I kind of looked at. I saved an old pair of waders. Goodness gracious, it looks like my old style life jacket I used to have. So I haven't paid my license yet, which I got to get doing on that. So then I don't want to figure out how much each duck cost me when we get close to it, how many I killed. But I'm looking forward to it. I saw some folks out at the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing Extravaganza. Of course, they had a duck calling competition, had more than 50 kids and men and out there, and once you start hearing all those people and doing those different things, but it's also a time, I would think, that not only do you get your facility ready and check your land, but Frank's in the ATV business too. And don't come in here to Frank's the day before the season, or even now the teal season. I guess people need to be ready for that.
Yeah, not a lot of people teal hunt in the Mid-South. They seem to be more interested in dove hunting.
Yes.
Which is at the same time. So, but yeah, bring your never wait till the last minute. We all of the repair shops, not just mine, but all the repair shops get jammed up right there at the end, and people procrastinate. And good knows I'm one of the better ones at doing that.
So, what is the number one thing when people bring them into you at this time of the year? What's have they waited? Just put them aside. So, what's the number one thing that you tune-ups or what?
The
tires. Check your tires. What?
The biggest thing that we see is they want to get their oil change before going into the season.
Right.
And while that sounds fine, and it is, I mean, you need that's something. If you haven't done it, that's something that you need to do. But the more important thing is to change your oil immediately after the season.
After the season,
not the season, and
like not cleaning your gun after the season.
Well, if you're a duck hunter, your machines are going to be around water. It's just no matter what, you're going to be around water.
I wonder why.
So you want to. The reason why you want to do all your oil changes and everything at the end of right at the end of the season is to get all that water out of the gear cases and the transmissions, because if the unit sits out in the water, I don't care whose it is, whatever, eventually you're going to get water in it. If nothing else, you're going to get it from condensation. But get all that water out of it. Otherwise, it sits up all year long, and it starts doing really bad things to those internal components.
Oh, it does?
Oh, yeah.
There's a few of them
and it can cost you a lot of money. So that's what we tell folks. But what we see as much as anything else right now would be people changing, getting tires, changing out because they've lost tread and they want to get that done. And
depends on where you've been taking your machine too. If you've been really in rough, and most duck hunters do push their machines to the limit a lot of times. And I know from the old days of the three-wheelers to where we've come right now, the technology, and we could talk a whole show about that, but the technology is, I mean, just like Polaris, I'm sure there's some new things out this year, too.
There are, but going back to your basic question is, everybody does everything. We do a lot of axles right now. People will, and if nothing else, just inspect your own your own unit. Look at the axle boots. That's the biggest thing that we see. They get a little tear in them or a little hole, pinprick hole. You'll see grease coming out. That's not going to fix itself. It's just going to get worse, and then eventually your axle will fail. And I don't know any manufacturer that will warranty an axle because of a torn boot. So pay particular attention, to those items.
All right.
And then if you've been storing your unit in a barn, which a lot of people are prone to do, the mice have an affinity to the wiring that's on all of our machines, where no matter what manufacturer it is.
Amazing.
You'll find that the mice will build nests in there, and they like to chew on the wires, and you'll have an unfortunate surprise if you wait till the last minute.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, brought the mice in here. All right, okay, they're not in the building right now. Let's take our first break of the morning on Outdoors with Larry Ray, and bring Johnny McFarland in to talk about busting clays for quail coming up next Saturday. Be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790.
You can find out all